cold wind moved through the ancient forest of Varen, brushing the tall pine trees as if they carried old secrets. The moon hung low and pale, watching the land like a quiet guardian. In the middle of this silent world walked a lone she-wolf named Lyra, her silver-gray fur shining softly in the moonlight. Lyra was used to walking alone. She did not remember where she came from. Her earliest memories were of waking up in the ruins of an old temple, with no name, no pack, and no past. All she carried with her was a strange, repeating vision, a throne of silver flames, a crown of moonlight, and a voice calling to her through the dark. She did not know what any of it meant. She only knew the vision belonged to someone she once was, or someone she was meant to become. Life had taught her to move quietly, to avoid packs, rulers, and kingdoms, especially the kingdom of Varen, ruled by Alpha King Kalen, a man many feared, but also admired. His name traveled in whispers: strongest wolf in the realm, sharp mind, colder heart. People said he trusted almost no one, and that his power was touched by a strange curse tied to the moon itself. Lyra never planned to meet him. She tried very hard to stay away from anything that smelled like authority or danger, but fate often ignores what a person tries to avoid. On this night, danger found her first. She sensed them before she saw them: 3 wolves standing at the edge of the trees. They were not attacking, but their presence filled the forest with tension. Their eyes glowed faintly, not with anger, but with recognition, as if they had been looking for her. Lyra stepped back, her paws pressing lightly into the snow. Her heart beat a little faster, not from fear, but from the strange pull in the air. "Stay where you are," one wolf said, shifting into a tall, broad warrior. "Alpha King Kalen has ordered that all lone wolves be checked. Too many threats have crossed our borders lately." Lyra said nothing. She stayed in her wolf form, alert but calm. She did not want trouble. But the soldiers were stressed, tired, and searching for answers she could not give. Before any misunderstanding could rise, the wind changed. Stronger, colder. It carried a scent that made the soldiers instantly lower their heads in respect. A tall figure stepped from the shadows. Kalen. He appeared like a carving brought to life. Dark hair, sharp features, eyes as deep as a storm. His presence quieted the forest. Not from fear, something else. Something older than titles and thrones. The moment his gaze fell on Lyra, something invisible rippled through the air, brushing both of their senses. A strange recognition. Unwanted. Unexplained. Kalen's brows tightened. "You," he said softly, though he had never met her. Lyra did not shift into human form. She could not find her voice. She only stared at him, unsure why her heart felt like it was waking from a long sleep. The soldiers waited for orders, but Kalen lifted a hand, stopping them. "She is not a threat," he said quietly. "How do you know?" one whispered. Kalen did not answer. He did not know the answer himself. He only knew that when he looked into her silver glowing eyes, something inside him moved. Something he thought he had buried under years of duty, grief, and silence. But Lyra felt something too. A soft ache in her chest. A whisper in the back of her mind. "You have seen him before." Long ago. Under moonfire. Lyra took a step back, frightened not of Kalen, but of her own strange memories. Kalen took one step forward. "Don't run. I'm not here to harm you." Lyra finally shifted into human form, tired, cautious. Her long silver hair falling over her shoulders like moonlit water. Her simple clothes were worn from travel, yet her presence felt almost royal, without trying. "I don't want to cause trouble," she said, her voice quiet. "I only walk through the forest." Her gentle tone surprised Kalen. Many lone wolves carried sharpness, bitterness, or challenge in their voice. But Lyra sounded like she carried stories instead of anger. "You crossed into Varen lands. he said. His voice was firm, but not harsh. In normal times, I would simply ask your purpose. But these are not normal times. Something in his eyes looked tired, heavy, as if he carried a burden larger than any throne. Lyra felt a faint sadness inside her chest, as if she somehow knew this man had suffered in ways he never spoke about. Kaelin noticed the way she held herself calm, open, without hostility. Most wolves stiffened near him. She did not. Not out of arrogance, but out of familiarity? Your eyes, Kaelin murmured. I've seen eyes like yours before. Lyra looked away. I don't remember much of my past. Kaelin studied her for a long moment. She did not look dangerous, but something around her felt powerful, hidden like a soft light behind dark clouds, and something deep inside him whispered, "She is connected to your curse." He ignored the thought. He ignored many thoughts, especially the ones that felt too close to truth. "We will take you to the capital," he said, "not as a prisoner, as a guest. I need answers, and so do you." Lyra hesitated. Staying close to any ruler was never safe. But when she looked at Kaelin, she felt that same invisible force pull at her again, gentle, like a tide calling to shore. "All right," she said softly. He turned, leading the way. But every few steps he glanced back at her, as if making sure she didn't disappear. Lyra walked behind him, trying to steady her heart. She told herself the feeling was nothing. Just nerves, just curiosity, just confusion. But deep inside, something old and silent was waking. As they walked, the forest changed. The trees seemed to lean away from Kaelin, as if respecting him. Snow glowed faintly under the moon, reflecting the soft silver shimmer that always seemed to follow Lyra. Kaelin noticed it but said nothing. After a long hour, they reached a ridge. Below them, the royal capital spread like a dark jewel. Towers made of black stone, glowing blue runes, moonlight reflecting off rooftops. It looked like a place built from shadows and hope at the same time. Lyra had seen many towns, but nothing like this. Something inside her stirred, a strange sense of belonging. Kaelin's voice was quiet again. "Do you feel something?" Lyra swallowed. "I don't know what I'm feeling." They continued in silence until they reached the great gates of the city. The guards bowed deeply to Kaelin, but many stared curiously at Lyra. She kept her eyes low, though she sensed whispers forming around her. Kaelin walked close to her, not protectively, but with a silent promise that she would not be judged without reason. Inside the palace courtyard, soft lanterns lit the stone pathways. The air smelled of night roses and cold wind. A feeling of history hung in every corner. Lyra walked slowly, overwhelmed, yet strangely at peace. She felt as if she had stepped into a place she had been waiting for without knowing it. Kaelin stopped in front of her. "You will rest for tonight," he said. "Tomorrow, the seer will speak with you. She may help us understand who you are and why I feel like I've known you before." Lyra nodded. "Thank you." But before Kaelin turned away, the moon rose higher, bright and full. A sudden beam of silver light touched Lyra's eyes. Kaelin froze. Her eyes glowed. Bright, silver, ancient. The exact glow he had seen once long ago, on the face of the Luna Queen who vanished under mysterious circumstances. Kaelin's breath caught. Lyra swayed, her hand rising to her temple. I feel strange." Kaelin stepped toward her, instinctively reaching out but stopping just before touching her. "Lyra," he whispered. "Those eyes, I have seen them before." Lyra looked up at him, her gaze soft, confused, glowing like moonfire. "I don't understand," she said. But Kaelin did. At least a little. Her eyes were the same eyes that haunted his dreams. The same eyes he thought he would never see again. And the truth he feared the most whispered through him like cold wind. "She is connected to the curse. And to the Queen, you lost." Cliffhanger ending. Part 1. As the moon's light faded, Lyra's eyes dimmed back to normal, but Kalen could still see the echo of silver in them. He stepped back, shaken, realizing this meeting was no accident. Lyra was not just a lone wolf. She was the beginning of a truth that could change everything. Soft morning light entered the royal guest room where Lyra rested. The curtains, thin as moonlight, moved gently with the breeze. Lyra opened her eyes slowly, feeling both comforted and uneasy. She had slept, but her dreams had not been peaceful. She had seen flashes: a silver crown, a hall lit by moon crystals, and a man standing at her side, his hand reaching toward hers. A man who looked like Kalen. Lyra sat up quickly, placing her hand over her heart. "It was only a dream," she whispered. "Just a dream." But the feeling inside her said otherwise. A soft knock came at the door. A palace attendant entered, bowing with respect. "The Alpha King requests your presence," she said kindly. "He wishes to see you before you meet the royal seer." Lyra nodded, trying to calm her breath. She followed the attendant through long hallways, lit with silver lanterns. The walls carried ancient carvings of wolves running under moonlight, scenes of history, beauty, and sorrow. As she walked, Lyra sensed eyes on her, not hostile, but curious. Whispers followed her steps. "Who is she? Her aura feels strange. The Alpha keeps her close. Why?" Lyra kept her gaze low, reminding herself she did nothing wrong. She was only trying to understand who she was. At last, she reached a tall wooden door, carved with a moon symbol. The guard opened it, and Lyra stepped inside. Kalen stood near the large window, watching the city below. His posture was straight, disciplined, but something in his shoulders looked tired, almost lonely. When he turned, his dark gaze landed on her with quiet intensity. "You slept well?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Yes, thank you." But Kalen could see the worry in her eyes. "Do not fear what happened last night," he said gently. "You did nothing wrong." Lyra looked at him. "My eyes. Did they scare you?" Kalen's expression shifted, softening, but also becoming guarded. "They surprised me," he admitted. "And they reminded me of something from my past." "Ooh." Lyra waited, hoping he would explain. But Kalen took a moment, as if choosing his words very carefully. "Long ago," he said slowly, "there was a Luna Queen who ruled beside me. She was kind, wise, and carried a special gift from the moon. Her eyes shone like silver flame when her power awakened." Lyra felt her breath catch. "And you think I look like her?" Kalen did not answer right away. His voice was quiet when he finally spoke. "You are not her. I know that. But something connects you to her. I felt it the moment I saw you." Lyra touched the window frame lightly, looking at her reflection in the glass. "I don't remember anything from before I woke up alone. If there is a connection, I don't know what it is." Kalen stepped closer, not too close, but near enough for his presence to warm the air between them. "That is why the seer will meet you today," he said. "She is the only one who can read the marks of fate and the whispers of the moon." Lyra's stomach tightened. "Is she going to judge me?" "No," Kalen said softly. "She will only look for truth." He paused. "And I will be there. You will not face this alone." Lyra looked up, surprised by his words. She did not expect a king to say something so gentle, so steady. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Kalen gave a small nod, almost as if he did not trust himself to speak more. There was a tension between them, soft but undeniable, like two strings of the same instrument pulling toward harmony without understanding why. The seer's chamber was inside one of the oldest towers of the palace. The walls were covered with tapestries showing moon phases, stars, and ancient wolves. Soft glowing stones lit the room, making it feel warm and mysterious. The seer, an elderly woman with calm eyes and silver hair, greeted them politely. "Alpha King Kalen," she said. And the girl who carries moonlight in her soul. Lyra hesitated. I am only Lyra. We will see. The seer replied gently. Please. Sit. Sing. R. R. C. Lyra sat on a low cushion. Kaelin remained standing behind her, his presence steady and silent. The seer placed her hands over a bowl of shimmering water. The surface rippled even without touch. Lyra, the seer said, close your eyes. Lyra obeyed. Tell me what you feel, the seer whispered. At first, Lyra felt nothing, only her own nervous heartbeat. But slowly, a strange warmth wrapped around her, soft and familiar. I feel moonlight, Lyra said. And something like a voice whispering, but I cannot hear the words. The seer's brow creased in concentration. And do you sense fear? Anger? No, Lyra whispered. Only sadness. Deep sadness. The seer opened her eyes, glancing at Kaelin briefly. The bowl of water changed, it showed faint shapes. A silhouette of a woman with silver glowing eyes. A throne of moonstone. A kingdom wrapped in mist. Lyra gasped. I've seen this in my dreams. The seer nodded. Dreams hold truth that memory forgets. She waved her hand gently through the air, and a soft silver mist rose from the bowl, curling around Lyra like a quiet embrace. Inside you, the seer said softly, there is a sleeping soul, not harmful, not dark, but ancient. Lyra's eyes widened. A soul? But I am just a lone wolf. You are more than that, the seer replied. Much more. You carry a fragment of the Luna's spirit. Kaelin inhaled sharply. His eyes flicked to Lyra, full of shock and something else, something fragile and painful. Lyra shook her head. I don't understand. How can I carry something like that? The seer spoke gently. The Luna Queen did not pass fully from the world. Her spirit scattered like moonlight in the wind, seeking a safe home, and it found you. Lyra felt her heart beat faster. Why me? The seer smiled softly. Souls choose where they feel safe. Lyra's breath trembled. Safe? She had never felt safe anywhere, except near Kaelin. But she pushed the thought away, unsure of it. What does this mean? Lyra whispered. Am I her? Lyra? No, the seer said firmly. You are Lyra, but the Luna's spirit lives within you like a memory, a spark. It does not rule you, but it gives you power you do not yet understand. Lyra lowered her head, overwhelmed. Kaelin stepped forward. And what does this mean for the curse? The seer's expression turned serious. The curse is tied to the Luna. It weakens your strength when the moon fades, and burdens your heart with grief you do not speak of. Kaelin's jaw tightened, but he did not deny it. But now, the seer continued, the Luna's spirit has awakened within Lyra. This means the curse is awakening as well. Lyra's heart dropped. Am I harming him? No, the seer said. But your presence affects the bond that once existed between the Alpha and Luna. The old energy stirs again. It seeks completion. Lyra could barely breathe. What happens if it completes? The seer looked at her with kind but honest eyes. If the old connection awakens fully, the Alpha's power may grow or break. And the Luna's resting spirit may rise stronger within you. Lyra felt dizzy. She did not want to lose herself. She did not want to hurt Kaelin. What should I do? Her voice trembled. The seer placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You must walk carefully. Stay true to your heart. Do not let fear choose your path. Kaelin spoke quietly, his voice rough with emotion he rarely allowed. She will not face this alone. Lyra looked up at him. His gaze held honesty, strength, and something softer she did not know how to name. The seer nodded. You two are tied by fate now. It will not be easy. But it may also lead to healing. Lyra swallowed. Healing? For both of you, the seer said quietly. The room fell silent. Only the soft glow of the moonstones flickered between them. Lyra felt Kaelin behind her, solid, strong, but unsure. She felt her own heart trembling, a mix of confusion and longing she did not understand. The seer extinguished the silver mist with a wave of her hand. We are finished for today, she said. As Lyra stood, her legs trembled. Kaelin reached out a steadying hand, then paused, unsure if he should touch her. Lyra lifted her eyes to him. You can, she whispered. He lightly touched her arm, a simple gesture. Gentle, careful, but it sent a soft warmth through her, awakening a feeling she had never known. Kaelin pulled his hand back quickly, almost as if the moment surprised him too. Lyra, he said quietly, I will protect you, no matter what this truth becomes. Lyra nodded, her heart softly aching, though she did not know why. As Kaelin led her out of the chamber, Lyra realized the truth fully. Her life was no longer simple. Her past was no longer empty. And her connection to Kaelin was no longer something she could ignore. Cliffhanger. Ending. Part 2. That night, as Lyra stood on her balcony, a soft voice whispered inside her warm, ancient, familiar, Kaelin. Lyra froze. The voice was not hers. It was the Luna's, and it spoke the Alpha King's name with deep longing. The Moonstone Sanctum lay far outside the city, hidden deep within an ancient forest where the trees grew tall and silent. Their branches formed natural arches that looked like gates to another world. Soft blue light rose from the ground itself, as if old magic breathed beneath the roots. Kaelin walked ahead, guiding Lyra through the forest path. The air around them glowed faintly, reacting to Lyra's presence, as though the forest recognized her. Lyra walked quietly beside him, her heart steady but unsure. Ever since the seer revealed the truth that the Luna's ancient spirit slept inside her, Lyra felt different. Not dangerous, not powerful. Just different. As if she were holding someone else's memories inside her chest. Kaelin watched her from the corner of his eye. She looked calm, but he knew better. Lyra always tried to appear strong, even when she was afraid. You are thinking too much, Kaelin said gently. Lyra looked up at him. I can't help it. You are safe here, he said, though uncertainty flickered in his voice. Lyra gave a small smile. I trust you. The words struck him with unexpected force. Trust was something rare in his life, something he received only from those who understood him, and those people were few. He cleared his throat softly. The sanctum is ahead. You may feel strange inside. Don't be afraid. I won't, Lyra said, although her fingers twisted nervously with her cloak. Soon, they reached a circle of tall stone pillars shining with moon symbols. A soft silver mist wrapped the area like peaceful breath. The sanctum felt old, sacred, and gentle. It was not a place of fear, but of memory. Lyra stepped inside the circle, and at once the air changed. A quiet hum surrounded her, and the ground glowed faintly under her feet. Kaelin watched her carefully. How do you feel? Lyra placed her hand on her heart, warm and sad. Kaelin's eyes lowered for a moment. This place was built by the first Luna Queen. She poured her spirit into the stones. Perhaps that is why you feel something. Lyra turned slowly, taking in the beauty of the sanctum. The stones whispered with old magic. It felt like a dream she had forgotten. When she looked back at Kaelin, she found him standing under a beam of light, his expression unreadable. Kaelin, she said softly, I want to understand you too. He blinked, caught off guard. Understand me? Yes. The seer spoke of a curse. She spoke of sadness. I want to know what you carry. For a moment, Kaelin said nothing. His jaw tightened, and he looked away, as if gathering strength. Lyra. Part of the curse is tied to loss, he said quietly. The Luna who ruled beside me disappeared, and with her disappearance came the breaking of my power. Lyra felt a deep ache in her chest, not from jealousy or fear, but from compassion. I'm sorry, she whispered. Kalen shook his head. It is not your burden, but it affects you still, Lyra replied. Your heart still suffers. Her voice softened. You don't have to hide it from me. Kalen's eyes met hers, dark, deep, searching. Why do you care so much? Lyra hesitated, unsure of the answer herself. Because I feel connected to you. Not because of the Luna's spirit, but because of the way you look at the world. The way you carry weight, without complaint. Kalen exhaled slowly, almost painfully. You see too much. Maybe no one has seen you enough, Lyra murmured. The breeze lifted around them, brushing their hair like a gentle hand. Kalen looked away, his voice low. I was not always a cold ruler. I once believed in peace, unity, hope, but when the Luna disappeared, the land fell into imbalance. Many looked to me for answers, and I had none. Lyra stepped closer. You survived. You kept your people safe. One. He met her gaze again, but at a cost. I closed my heart. I shut down everything that made me human. Lyra reached out slightly, not touching him, but close enough for warmth to pass between them. You don't seem heartless to me, she said softly. For the first time, Kalen's expression cracked not with anger or pride, but with quiet confusion, as if he did not understand why her words touched him. I don't deserve your kindness, he whispered. Lyra shook her head gently. Everyone deserves kindness. The moment stretched between them soft, fragile, filled with something unspoken. Before either could say more, the sanctum reacted. A soft rumble vibrated through the stones. Lyra gasped as a silver glow rose from the ground, surrounding her like a gentle storm. The air thickened with old magic, warm and bright. Kalen stepped forward at once. Lyra. I'm fine, she said, though her voice trembled. The glow grew stronger, forming shapes around her shadows of memories. She saw a hall filled with moonlight, a crown resting on a velvet cloth, a pair of hands holding hers, warm and gentle, and a voice, soft, steady, full of love. Do not be afraid. You were always meant to shine. Lyra's heart pounded. I see her. Kalen froze. The Luna? Yes. Lyra whispered. She's inside me. Like a dream that wants to wake. Kalen stepped closer. What is she showing you? Lyra's eyes filled with light. She's showing me. You. Kalen's breath caught. Me? Lyra nodded slowly. She cared for you deeply. And she wants you to forgive yourself. Kalen turned away, his shoulders tense. Forgiveness is not so simple. Lyra reached toward him, her voice gentle. Kalen closed his eyes. He looked as if her words were unraveling something inside him, something he kept hidden for years. Lyra felt the Luna's presence fade softly, like a warm hand lowering. When the light around her weakened, Lyra stumbled. Kalen rushed forward instinctively, catching her before she fell. His hands were steady, strong, careful. Are you all right? He asked, voice low with concern. Lyra nodded, her breath shaky. Just tired. But I'm okay. Kalen did not let go right away. His hands lingered on her arms, gentle, unsure. He looked at her, as if seeing her for the first time. Not as a stranger, not as a mystery, but as someone important. Lyra, he began, but the words failed. She looked up, her eyes soft. What is it? Kalen hesitated. His heart was fighting him. Duty pulled one way, longing pulled another. I never expected someone like you to enter my life, he said quietly. Someone who makes old wounds feel lighter. M. End quote. End quote. End quote. End quote. Reverser. Also. Lyra's breath caught. She didn't look away. I didn't expect you either. He slowly released her, as if afraid of crossing a line he did not yet understand. You should rest, he said gently. Lyra nodded. But before she could step away, the sanctum trembled again. This time, the ground shimmered with shadows soft, dark shapes rising from the trees. They did not attack or harm, but they watched with strange intention. Lyra felt a chill move through her. Kalen stepped in front of her protectively. Ancient shadows. They guard the sanctum. No, Lyra whispered. They're calling me. Kalen turned sharply. Calling you? Lyra's eyes widened as the shadows formed a faint, ghostly outline, a tall figure with glowing eyes, looking directly at her. A voice echoed softly, carried by the wind. Luna. Kalen's heart slammed inside his chest. Stay behind me. But Lyra shook her head slowly, her voice faint and trembling. They know me. They know who I was. The shadow figure lifted an arm, pointing toward her. You belong with us. Lyra's breath stopped. Kalen moved instantly, his voice firm but quiet. She belongs nowhere without her choosing. The shadows flickered, retreating slightly but not disappearing. Lyra clutched her cloak tightly. Kalen, what is happening? He stepped closer to her, his voice steady and protective. Whatever this is, you are not facing it alone. Lyra swallowed hard, a gentle fear mixed with trust. The shadows whispered again, fading slowly into the trees. We will return. Luna. The forest grew silent once more. Lyra stood frozen, the echo of the voice lingering inside her. Kalen placed a steady hand near her shoulder, not touching, but close enough to offer comfort. Lyra, he said softly, I will not let anything take you. Her eyes lifted to his, filled with fear and longing. I don't want to lose myself, she whispered. You won't, Kalen said, his voice warm and certain. Not while I'm here. Lyra felt her heart tremble not from fear, but from something deeper. Something that tied their fates together. Cliffhanger. Ending. Part 3. Just as the last shadow disappeared, the moon above them cracked with a faint line of light, as if something ancient had awakened in the sky. Kalen and Lyra looked up, realizing the world was beginning to change. The forest was quiet after the shadows faded, yet the silence felt heavy like the world was holding its breath. Above the trees, the moon carried a thin, glowing crack, as if something ancient had woken up inside it. Kalen and Lyra stood together in the moonstone sanctum, the silver light around them shifting gently. Lyra held her cloak close, feeling the air tremble with quiet magic. Kalen stepped beside her, calm but alert. The crack in the moon, he said softly, is a sign. Something old has begun to rise. Lyra swallowed. Is it because of me? Kalen looked at her with gentle honesty. It is because of the Luna's spirit inside you, but that does not make it your fault. Lyra lowered her eyes. The shadows called me Luna, as if they were waiting for me. They were waiting for the old Luna, Kalen said. Not for you. You are not her. You are Lyra. Lyra nodded slowly, but her heart felt pulled in two directions. One toward her unknown past, and one toward the life she had built quietly on her own. She looked at the crack in the moon again. What will happen now? Kalen exhaled softly. I do not know yet, but I do know this. Whatever comes, we face it together. His words steadied her. She felt her fear melt a little, replaced by warmth she didn't fully understand yet. They returned to the palace that evening. The halls felt different, more alert, more watchful. It was as if the entire kingdom sensed a quiet shift in the world. Lyra remained near Kaelin as the seer and council discussed the moon's strange change. She listened silently, trying to make sense of the whispers around her. The moon reacts only to Luna energy, the seer said. It means the spirit inside Lyra is waking faster than expected. One council member frowned. Will that harm her? No, the seer replied gently. But it will test her. The spirit may ask her to reclaim memories or power. She must choose what to accept and what to refuse. Lyra's hands tightened in her lap. She didn't want to lose herself. She had fought so hard to find her own identity. Kaelin spoke in a firm tone. Lyra will not be forced into anything. The room quieted at the strength in his voice. Lyra looked at him, grateful. Kaelin always protected her not with control, but with respect. When the council left, Lyra and Kaelin walked together through the quiet hallways. Soft lantern light warmed the stone walls. But Lyra's mind stayed troubled. Kaelin, she said gently, what if the Luna's spirit tries to change me? He stopped walking and faced her. His eyes were calm, but full of meaning. Lyra, you have something the Luna did not. Lyra blinked. What is that? Your own will, Kaelin said. You choose who you are. No spirit controls you. No past defines you. His words reached deep inside her, steadying the fear that had been growing since the sanctum. Lyra looked down. I don't feel strong enough. You are stronger than you think, Kaelin said quietly. I have seen it. Lyra's breath caught. She didn't answer, but something gentle warmed her chest. As night deepened, Lyra stood alone on her balcony, looking up at the moon. The crack glowed softly, almost like a smile or a tear. A soft voice suddenly whispered inside her, a voice that was not her own. You survived my loss. Now survive my memory. Lyra closed her eyes as a calm wave passed through her. Luna, she whispered softly. Why did you choose me? A quiet answer echoed back. Because you carry courage, and because you were never meant to walk alone. The voice faded like a warm breeze. Lyra opened her eyes and saw Kaelin standing quietly in the doorway, watching her with concern. Lyra, he said gently, may I come in? She nodded. Yes. He stepped onto the balcony, standing beside her. His presence was steady, like a soft shield against the world. You heard her again, he said softly. Lyra nodded. She's not trying to control me, but she wants me to understand something. What is it? Kaelin asked. She wants me to find my place in this world, Lyra said. Not as her, not as a queen from the past, but as myself. Kaelin's eyes softened. Do you know what that place is? Lyra looked at him. I think I'm starting to. Their eyes held a quiet moment, full of trust, longing, and something deeper than either understood. The next morning, Lyra returned to the sanctum alone. She wanted to face the Luna's spirit without fear. She wanted to understand the part of herself she had been avoiding. The stone pillars glowed softly as she entered. The air hummed again, like a gentle welcome. Lyra placed her hand on one of the stones. I'm ready, she whispered. A silver mist rose around her, warm and gentle. The Luna's voice echoed softly. You fear losing yourself, but you forget that a soul cannot erase another. Lyra felt tears prick her eyes, not of sadness, but of relief. What do you want from me? She whispered. The voice replied with kindness. I want you to grow. I want you to stand where I once stood, not as my shadow, but as your own light. Lyra's breath trembled. But I don't know how. You do, the voice said softly. Your heart knows. The mist formed an image, a crown of soft silver light. It floated before her, shining like a star. Lyra stepped back nervously. I'm not a queen. I don't deserve this. You deserve choice, the Luna whispered. That is all this crown represents. The crown faded, leaving only warm light. Choose your own path. That is enough. And with that, The spirit quieted, gentle and silent once more. Lyra stood still. She didn't take the crown. She didn't reject it either. She only breathed, feeling lighter, clearer, braver. She turned and saw Kaelin standing at the edge of the circle, watching her. "How long have you been there?" Lyra asked softly. "Long enough," Kaelin said. "You looked peaceful." Lyra gave a small smile. "I feel free. For the first time in my life." Kaelin stepped closer. "I am glad." Lyra held his gaze. "Kaelin, what about you? Will you be free? If the curse breaks?" Kaelin hesitated. "I don't know, but I want to try." Lyra reached out gently, her fingers lightly touching his hand. Kaelin froze, not in fear, but in quiet wonder. "You're not alone," she said softly. "Just like I'm not alone anymore." Kaelin slowly turned his hand, letting their fingers touch fully. It was soft, gentle, full of meaning. "Lyra," he whispered, "you have already given me more peace than I thought possible." Her heart trembled gently, but in a warm way. The moment was quiet, deep, and full of unspoken emotion. Days passed. The crack in the moon remained, glowing softly, but not growing. The kingdom felt calmer. The shadows did not return. The Luna's spirit stayed quiet inside Lyra, resting like a candle flame inside her heart, warm, steady, peaceful. Lyra spent her days learning the ways of the palace and listening to the people. Though shy at first, she found she had a natural kindness that opened hearts. People began to respect her not for the Luna's spirit, but for her own gentle strength. Kaelin often walked with her, listening to her thoughts, trusting her advice. Their connection grew deeper, soft, and steady, like blooming light. One morning, the seer approached them with a peaceful smile. "The curse is weakening," she said. "Your bond has brought balance to the kingdom." Lyra blinked. "Bond?" The seer nodded. "Connection of heart and spirit. Not a bond of past, but of choice." Kaelin's breath caught softly. Lyra felt warmth bloom inside her. The seer continued. "Lyra has accepted her path, and you, Kaelin, have accepted your heart's healing. That is why the curse fades." Kaelin turned to Lyra. She looked back, her eyes bright and gentle. "Lyra," he said quietly, "you brought light back into my life." "And you gave me a place to belong," she answered softly. Their hands met again, simple, warm, trusting. The kingdom followed a peaceful path now. The moon's crack glowed like a reminder of old stories and new beginnings. Lyra was not a shadow of the old Luna. She was herself, strong, gentle, full of quiet courage. And Kaelin, once burdened by sorrow, learned to breathe again.